Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name's Megan and I'm a homeschool mama of two. I'm here to give you cleaning, motivation, decoration, inspiration, all while trying to keep my own house from crumbling into disaster. Spoiler alert, really bad at that. Happens all the time. But today I'm back, baby, with some homeschool suggestions, and those are for our fall read alouds. So I've got my comfy, cozy sweater. Scout! She's digging for her bone. So I've got my comfy, cozy sweater on, my hot cup of tea, and I'm ready to give you the details. Just kidding. Is it still blazing hot wherever you are? Yeah, here too. And by blazing for northern Indiana, I mean like 82 degrees. Nonetheless, too hot for, hot tea. Just a little YouTube stuff. I'm for sure still on my iced coffee, and I'm gonna take this sweater off. That's better. Okay, let's get into these fall read alouds. Get comfy, get cozy, or again, if it's still sweat weather, get cooled off, get a nice iced beverage, and let's do this. All right, yes, Scout will probably stand guard at her sentry post looking out the front window for most of the time when we're filming this video. And I'm just gonna let her do it. Let her be there, guarding and protecting our house. So this list of books is definitely aspirational. It's something that I hope we get to, and we probably won't get to all of them, but that's actually okay. But let's get into it. Read alouds are our favorite part of homeschool here at the old domicile. And I love picking them out. I love watching videos where other people discuss their read alouds. I love going to bookstores and just choosing them. We have a ton, but I've actually narrowed it down to what we will be focusing on this fall. And that's, for me, really the lead up to December, because once December starts, we do switch our focus to more holiday-oriented read alouds, etc. All of these books, except for one, are not part of our formal curriculum of any kind. These are just additional things that we will do in our homeschool. So let's get started. So my girls are 7 and 2.5. Because of that, I like to bring in not just traditional chapter book read alouds, but picture books. And usually our picture book read alouds are going to be nonfiction, but that doesn't mean that they can't be spicy, fun, all of that stuff. So the first one I wanted to show you guys is called Invented by Animals. Meet the creatures who inspired our everyday technology. First of all, it's a gorgeous book. It's by Wide Eye. It's a Wide Eye book. I don't know if you guys have ever used those before, but we have. They make great atlases, things like that. The illustrations are always super fun. Anyways, this book is one that we will just pick up and read for pleasure. And it is definitely about animals and the technology they inspired. Shocker, considering I read you the title, that's what it said. I was just going to show you guys this page. Absolutely beautiful illustrations, but this is an example. So this is about bats and how they inspired the development of sonar. And we really like these because it gives a lot of visual interest for our 2.5-year-old to look at, and it's blurbs of information. So my 7-year-old likes to point at what she's going to choose to read about. Anyways, I'll show you some more of these because they are just beautiful. So I've put this in our basket that we keep in the living room. We don't do a morning basket at all. That doesn't work for us. But I do like to keep these where we can grab them and they're right on hand, so they're nice and convenient. I think we're more likely to access them more often if we do that. Okay, the next one is a book that I'm so excited about. This summer, I probably purchased more than a dozen children's books that were about evolution, natural selection, or in general biological science. And I was happy with, but kind of dissatisfied with all of them until I actually found this, which is Amazing Evolution, The Journey of Life. Okay, and this is by Anna Claiborne, illustrated by Wesley Robbins. Again, absolutely gorgeous illustrations, but the information in here is spot on. It's accessible and it's really fun. It goes a lot more in depth than most of the children's books that I was seeing, and it actually uses some scientific language. I am going to do a video about our natural selection evolution unit and show you guys a lot of the other books that I liked as well. But this one is for sure one that we are picking up and hopefully going to be looking at more than once a week. Not only does it go into the basics of evolution, but it does start to break it down into the types. So it discusses, of course, natural selection, but it also goes into selective breeding and what humanity's impact on this type of evolution has been. Like, how do we get from a wild carrot to the domesticated carrot that we see in the grocery store? I'm no scientist, please don't come after me if those are the wrong terms. But I think it just did a really, really good job. It is also going to talk about Darwin and Wallace, which I really appreciate them bringing up Wallace, who, if you didn't know, is someone who was coming up with the idea of natural selection parallel to Darwin, but his ideas are, in my opinion, a little bit better, okay, but who am I? And it discusses their different wanderings and how they came to those conclusions. So I really appreciate that about this book. Absolutely pick it up. It is such a beautiful book and it's really high quality. Recommend. 10 out of 10. So my next selection is Julie Andrews' Treasury for All Seasons, Poems and Songs to Celebrate the Year. This is, again, because I'm really terrible at picking out poetry. So I picked this up because I love Julie Andrews, and I thought it was precious because she actually puts these books together with her daughter, which is like, oh, be still my heart. And I enjoy anything that has a good theme. I like to school with a theme, okay? And so this, of course, breaks it down by months, poems that are relevant to every month. But they also have things for celebrations like birthdays or Christmas, things along those lines. I also enjoy that there seems to be a really good gender variety on the poems that they are, on the poets that are represented in this book. I have not done enough research to know if there is diversity beyond that. Honestly, I saw it at Half Price Books, flipped through the author list, and just went with it. So to show you too, it's also really beautifully illustrated. This is like the introduction for July. So we will probably use these at our poetry tea time. Especially, I like to have 2 poetry books going at poetry tea time so that I am reading one and Winnie is flipping through and choosing another. So that just gives her something to do and gives her some choice in what we're reading at poetry tea time. Okay, so we've gotten past the picture books that we're going to pick up as well as the supplement for poetry tea time. Now I really want to talk about a book series that we used last year, and so I picked up another one for this year and I really love them. And this is called Classic Myths to Read Aloud, The Great Stories of Greek and Roman Mythology. And these collections are done by William F. Russell. We last year used his collection of just classics, and this year, since we really are focusing a lot more on Greek and Romans, we decided to pick this up. My daughter Winnie is gaga for Greek myths, okay? She cannot get enough. So when I saw this, I knew that we absolutely had to have it. What is cool about these is that they are excerpts, especially at the classics level. So my child is getting exposed to a variety of classic literature over the course of a year. Also, he breaks them down to age-appropriate levels, which I have to say we kind of just disregarded. I'm reading these aloud anyways, so we can go at our own pace. But to show you this, so this is The Gift of Athena. At the beginning of every story, he's going to give you a quick breakdown so that you as the parent or teacher kind of know what's going on. Also, best part is gives you approximate reading time. I love this because if I know that I only have a few minutes or it's bedtime, I don't want no 15, 20-minute story. So the approximate reading time for this one is 6 minutes. Next is the Vocabulary and Pronunciation Guide. We do front load this. So I will go over these with Winnie before we get into reading so that she knows what's going on. And usually when we get to that word, we will stop and reiterate its definition and meaning. And I totally appreciate the pronunciation guide because I don't want to mess that up. I definitely want her to get those names accurately. And because I have made the decision for her to homeschool, I want to provide her the best education possible. Love these. The next three are novels, and they're probably the ones that we're most excited about. This one is Skunk and Badger by Amy Timberlake. I will say this is part of our DART curriculum. This is our book for, I think, October. And Winnie was so excited for this that when it came in the mail, I had to put it up because I am trying to stick with the DART schedule and we are loving the other books as well. So we're saving this one, you know, when it gets really cold outside and we have to be indoors, we're saving this one. So this is kind of an odd couple story. It's about a skunk, which nobody wants, and he lives with Badger. The illustrations are precious. They're done by John Klassen. They're not all in color, but this is an example of the in color ones. And it's also not incredibly thick, so it will allow us to get through it with success. So I'm pretty excited about Skunk and Badger. I mean, look at the sepia tones and the illustrations. Doesn't it just scream like fall read aloud? And they've got their little sweaters and their jackets on. I mean, come on, guys. There's a theme. We love stories where the animals are narrators or can speak. So this is Pax, which I have to tell you, oh, and this is by Sarah Pennypacker. I have to tell you, every time I read the synopsis of this book, I get choked up. How lame am I? But basically the story is about a rescued fox who's raised by a little boy, and then circumstances separate them. And on two separate adventures, they go to reunite, find each other once again. And it's told in a ping pong narration. So one chapter is from the perspective of the little boy, and one chapter is from the perspective of Pax the fox. There are illustrations throughout, but a few really large illustrations. And I so absolutely love the style of the cover. I know, you don't judge a book by its cover, but sepia tones, foxes, fall. That's all I have to say. I'm so excited about this one. This is not part of any curriculum. We will probably do this as a bedtime story, but oh my word, I'm so excited. The next novel I'm going to show you is definitely aspirational. So next month, we are really going to dive into our evolution natural selection unit study. Probably next month, maybe even in October. And I wanted to have a read aloud to go along with our picture books. So I picked this one up. And it's The Evolution of Calpurnia Tate, and this is by Jacqueline Kelly. This book takes place in the latter part of the 19th century. Actually, I think it takes place right at the turn of the century, entering into the 20th. And it's about a little girl in Texas, which is where I'm from, so I definitely had some, heart eye emojis towards the setting. But anyways, she is the only girl in a huge family of boys, and she has a special relationship with her grandfather, who is a naturalist. If you don't know, naturalists in the 19th century, it was totally acceptable to be like a hobby enthusiast and to still be considered an expert. Hello, we're homeschoolers. We love that idea. And she builds a special relationship with her grandfather. It's about how the world is rapidly changing. Somehow evolution and natural selection gets woven in there. And I'm sure that she learns some kind of lesson about herself. We tried to start this book in June, and it did not go so well. So we just paused it. I was like, let's not force this. I think the reason it didn't go so well is that it's June. We want to be outside. We want to be swimming. We want to be doing things. But when the weather cools down and we have to be inside, that's when the read alouds really pick up for us. So we are going to give this another go. And if it's not a winner for us, I will keep it around until Winnie is older because I think it's really worthy. Now, this is by Jacqueline Kelly, which is nuts. It's crazy because Jacqueline Kelly, all this information I have simply got from her book sleeve, by the way, is from New Zealand, raised in Canada, now lives in Texas, is a practicing physician and lawyer. And this is her first book, and it was nominated or given the Newbery Honor. What? So much talent in one person, seriously? So that's also intriguing to me to kind of see, is she as good of a writer as she is at everything else? If you've read this one or any of these, I would love to hear about it in the comments, especially if you have any resource links or things that you think would be helpful for supplementary material. Would love it. Leave it below. Okay, I have one more book to show you, and this is not really a fall read aloud for the kiddos. Parts of it are, but it's also for me. And this is How to Teach Your Children Shakespeare by Ken Ludwig, okay? And it has an introduction by John Lithgow. And this book I actually got recommended to me through Julie Bogart's podcast. She did an interview with Ken Ludwig, the author. And I have to tell you, he was so endearing. His story was so amazing. His career trajectory as to how he got to being a playwright was phenomenal. And this is really, not only is this informational, instructional, right? How to teach your kids about Shakespeare, but it is also a little bit of his story and how he brought his love for Shakespeare to his children. Would any video of mine be complete without at least one cheese cameo? Anyways, so I'm really excited for that. He definitely is giving you some parameters to go in here and to some things to point out to the kids, but they're also passages. So this is the passage between Theseus and Hippolyta, and he's going to give you a lot of information of how to do this, of how to break it down, and he also has a lot of the vocabulary in there for you as well. So I feel like as an amateur, someone who, I think I've read Hamlet, Ophelia, I don't think I even read Midsummer in high school. Okay. So Shakespeare is not something I'm really comfortable with, but it's something that I would really like to make a part of my homeschool. So we're gonna see how that goes. Anyways, guys, I really hope that you got something out of this. I hope you're all doing really great. I want to hear about what you guys are reading for this fall. So put it down below. Read alouds are my absolute favorite. If you liked what you saw, subscribe. Maybe I'll have something useful for you in the future. Anyways, you know what they say. Is it perfect? No, it isn't. But is it done? Maybe. I don't know. Are we going to get these done? I like to think so. So until next time, bye!